Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Hi. Sorry for the try and errors at the beginning. This is a new platform that we are using, and there's a lot of features that are a bit counterintuitive. So apologies for this. See that we have 14 people in the event. Hi everyone. Hope the sound is good. So I think we can start right away. Apologies for the wait. I'm happy to have.
I see there is Panya as a candidate here.
Let me see if I can promote him to being a panelist. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't seem to be able to do anything. Panya, if you can hear me, I think the only way for you to... Oh, hold on. All right. While we wait for Panyas to be promoted as a panelist, just a couple of words about this event and what we do, why we do it. So this is the second online event that we are trying to conduct at La French Tech Bangkok to compensate for the lack of physical events for the past few months. Normally I prefer to do this physically. We are a group of people, a community of people interested in technology, entrepreneurs, executives at different types of companies with a direct or indirect interest in technology. Trying to run these events on a regular basis, every month, every 2 months, on different topics. The purpose is to encourage discussions, create connections, and so I hope everyone, all the people who are here today will make new contacts and learn something. And enough talking for me. For the time being, I'm happy to have on this topic of digital agencies. Normally 4 different panelists, but unfortunately I can't. It seems that Panya still cannot come to the chat room. So yeah, 3 entrepreneurs who have founded or co-founded digital agencies with very different kind of business models, client bases, and strategy as a whole. So I think that each of them is exemplifying a very specific angle of the industry, and I know all of them have stories and interesting insights to share about the industry. Maybe I'll start with Jeremie because as I was mentioning to him a few weeks ago, Jeremie is himself an organizer of business events. I'm not sure if they are still considered to be ongoing, Jeremie.
No, not really these days.
Okay, but those were probably the first networking events I attended when I moved to Bangkok in 2016. So maybe you can introduce yourself very briefly, and then we'll pass the mic on to Diane and Opal.
Yeah, sure. So I've been in Thailand for like 13 years now. Founded Morphosis actually in Hong Kong first, And a few years later, I decided to go from being a freelancer to start to run an agency. So I hired my first few people. So started the company in Bangkok as well. So it was 8 years ago, I think now. And we went from just me basically to now 80, 85 people basically. And so before I was just specialized in UX UI design. And now we do basically end-to-end digital products from design to development, of course, and to digital marketing now, and to start to do some consultancy around design thinking and other type of consultancy, technology consultancy, and so on.
All right. Thanks, Jeremie. Diane, do you want to continue, introduce yourself and your company?
Yeah. So I am the head of sales for Motionable.io, which is a new brand, but part under the umbrella of Alexis Agency. So Alexis Agency, we started 2 years ago in Kuala Lumpur. At the time, we were just a handful of people, all convinced that right now in the ecosystem of digital marketing agencies, there was a place for us to take. At the crossroad of very consulting or consultants in digital marketing who are quite expensive but good at strategizing, traditional agencies that are better at implementing these strategies and monitoring. We're not a branding agency, but we do have a very strong design capability, and we also have an ad tech in-house. So in between, at this crossroads, we started Alexis 2 years ago in KL, and we are now more than 80 people across Southeast Asia, and with a presence in the UK and in France too. So we grew very fast. And why am I saying that is because we are a performance-driven agency, Alexis. So from the very beginning, we intended to optimize performance for our clients, and to do so, we leverage a lot on A/B testing, and A/B testing not only the targets and the copy, but also visuals and motion videos. A/B tested against other motion videos or against static. And after 1 year and a half, we said 85 to 90% of our clients at Alexis are using motion videos, our capability in motion videos. So we decided to launch Motionable as its own brand a few months ago. But overall, ever since we started this motion video department, in total we have created more than 1,000 videos, and now it's skyrocketing ever since we have started this brand on its own, Motionable. So the idea is really for Motionable to take as well something that we saw in the market was missing, because when it comes to motion videos, you have either like Shutterstock that are really expensive, or you have freelancers as well, but who are not able to scale, or you have templated solutions free that are actually not performing. We tried it and we failed. So it would have been easier if it had worked for us, but no, unfortunately it doesn't work if you really want to have good performance. So that's why we decided to create Motionable.
All right, so we'll probably dive into a bit more detail after, but maybe Opal, if you want to introduce yourself and your business in a few words, and after that we'll dive into a bit more thorough questions.
Okay. So originally I was a lawyer. My background is in law. I used to work in a law firm about 10 years ago. Jeremie and I, we were also friends back then. So he met me when I was actually working in a law firm, and he was UI UX designer. You used to do freelancing, right, back then?
Yeah, I didn't think you would start to be a competitor back then.
Yeah.
I would not have given you no of my secrets.
It's actually a big surprise in a good way. And I started this company in 2017.
Which is not a pharmaceutical company. You can clarify.
So I started this company, Senna Labs, is an IT consulting company. in 2017. Originally, my role in this company was I could say an admin, yeah, in this company. And by accident, I became a CEO. Actually, the end of last year. Yeah.
Okay. Well, congratulations for this. All right. Before we, maybe before we I have prepared a few questions for all of you. Just before we dive into this, for our audience, I just wanted to draw your attention to the chat that is normally on the right hand of your screen, where you can leave written messages and questions that we can try to address at the end of this session. For the time being, we'll keep probably about 30 minutes of questions that I have prepared for our panelists, and we can keep 10-15 minutes for a Q&A session after this. So yeah, feel free to leave your questions in the chat, and we'll go through them either on the go if it's opportunistic, or at the end of the panel session. All right, so maybe to get back on the origins of your respective companies. My first quite basic question would be to understand what was exactly the reason why you started this in the first place. Was it because you had identified a specific demand from the market, because chance or coincidence threw you into this, or for any other reason that you felt compelling enough to start this entrepreneurial adventure? Diane, you had started to elaborate a little bit on this earlier, so maybe you would like to pick up this thread.
Yes, so actually it was not, when we started Alexis, we didn't think that we would create one day Motionable. It really came from our clients complaining that their experience when they tried to produce motion videos was really not what they wanted. It was expensive, it was lengthy, complicated, or templated. And so that's why we decided to come with this solution to turn existing brand assets. So we do not invent anything. We give a second life to existing static assets to transform them into compelling motion videos for video ads. So if your business wants to create conversion, snackable content, which is to drive brand awareness and engagement on social media, notably, and explainer videos for more brand awareness for your website or for your social media too. These are longer educational videos about your brand or about your product. So it was really driven by the fact that we heard our clients saying, "Oh, motion videos, we understand that you want to A/B test them in order to drive performance A/B tests, but we are not able to do it in-house. Can you do it for us?" So that's how we started. While benchmarking and before we launched Motionable on its own as a separate brand and separate offering from Alexis, of course we did a benchmark, and so part of our positioning is also driven not by clients this time anymore, but by our competitors. So we wanted to be as fast as like Shutterstock, which is the main player in the market. So in only 3 days you would have a 6-second video. So no template, everything handcrafted, and because we are a partner at Alexis of Facebook and Google, so our experts apply these platforms' best practices to motion videos and can adapt them to every format. And so the formats will depend on the platforms on which people want to advertise. So this time we are going to follow what platforms our best practices are, and this is guided by the platforms themselves.
Okay, so the history of the company was in continuity with the mothership per se. So actually quite distant, quite different as a trajectory from the story that Opal mentioned a bit earlier. So for you, Opal, like it was a completely like a very sudden break from your legal background? Like how did this happen? Like was it the encounter with Jeremie that changed everything, or what?
So I used to go to his event as well. Maybe same as you. Yeah, because he's the mother of all meetups back then, right? So that's how we met. And okay. So originally I was a lawyer, right? So I wanted to start a company to focus on legal tech. Yeah. So that's what my original idea is. And so my ex co-founder, his idea was to build an IT consulting company. So I think we think that it's complementing each other to start a company together. But we actually we have two companies. Yeah, one company was supposed to be focusing on legal tech, which supposed to be my company to run, and this company was supposed to be an IT consulting company. Yeah.
I think we lost Opal for a minute.
Yeah, she's been frozen in eternity in a weird pose. So maybe we can jump directly to Jeremie, who has a story that goes back in time quite far away. Maybe Jeremie, you would like to recap a little bit how you started Morphosis and how you got thrown into digital in the first place.
Yeah, for me, there was no plan. It's not like I had a clear plan. Okay, I'm going to start that business, but I really hated my job. So I used to live in Spain, Canary Islands, and I was working in that observatory. Working in a solar telescope over there, and I was a technician in optics. So I had to maintain the telescope and help improve it and some other stuff. And I just hated it. It was not for me. I was terrible in my job. People would even say it. So it was not a good feeling to be doing something no one appreciates what you're doing because anyway you suck at it. And back in Spain, I used to organize some events as well. And so to advertise the events, I created a website. I fell in love with it. And this was enough for me to say, this is what I want to do. No, that's it. I know now. And so I started to create a professional website. 3 months later, I got my first client, charging almost nothing. I thought it was a lot of money, but actually it was not. And eventually, this I continued to do as a freelancer, part-time for 2-3 years, until I had enough clients to make the jump. So I moved to Thailand, started the business in Hong Kong, and went full-time, basically. So that's how I started my career. And during that time, I realized, I don't want to just be a freelancer for the rest of my life. I want to create a consultancy because I think just doing design is just the execution. It has very little value. We're just an expense for clients. But if I create a consultancy, we become an investment because now we can do some research. We can understand their business. We can understand their users. We can try to find the middle point between what your users and business want. And then we can build successful businesses for our clients. And then it has a lot more value than just trying to execute every day, doing some nice design, but we don't know if it works or not. So the idea was really to transform it. So this one was already a dream I had 10 years ago. And at some point when I created this agency, I was only doing UX UI design. And I realized there was too many blockers. I didn't control the development. So I didn't control the full product creation. And so a lot of things didn't go as planned. And so at some point, I to decide I need to get a partner and I need to grow the company. I need to start doing end-to-end solutions, basically. And that's where we are now. And so now everything is in place. And the next stage now is to really do the consultancy that I've always wanted to create. And so that's the next stage for next year, for the next 2 years, let's say. That's the strategy. We're going to get some consultants and start to develop this to offer the consultancy that I wanted to do.
Okay, excellent. I see that we've been miraculously joined by Panya.
Hi, Panya.
Hello, Panya.
All right, so I think right now is a good time for you to kind of pick up the conversation, introduce yourself, your company, explain us a little bit the genesis of Pimclick and what's your end goal basically.
Yeah, so first, sorry, it was a big mess for me to connect, and I was struggling with my laptop, so now it's okay. So, it's a big adventure for me. I think it's all my life, because I started like when I was 18. So it was even before internet. I was actually a BBS administrator. And I started to build my first website with Angel Fire and with Michael. So it was before Google, actually. It was like 22 years right now. We just like, I'm a software engineer. At the beginning, Mambo. And they changed the name to Joomla. So it's a CMS, actually. It's a competitor of WordPress. So I got like I would say I got my success time like 10 years ago, because I was in one of the co-founder of the CMS, and I became like a security expert for websites and working for the French army and all the, security field. And we realized that it was a bit difficult to sell, because when you're talking about coding and software development, people, they don't really understand what you're doing. So here came UX design, because when people, they see like something nice, right, they think the software is nice. So here at that stage, it was 10 years ago. So in 2010, we have decided to move a little bit and make nice software. So with nice UX design, with nice interface, and this is like what we are doing right now. So right now we are like 360. So this is in a nutshell. So yeah.
Well, one thing I found interesting about all of your companies is that, to me at least, it seems that you have all chosen to have a quite specific angle, and not trying to do everything, which is another strategy that some digital agencies have taken, saying, okay, we can do A to Z, probably not perfectly at all the levels, but for you, my understanding, for some of you, it's very explicit, but pretty much all of you have chosen to have a very specific expertise. Would you say, and I'm asking this question to all four of you, would you say that this is a strategy that was motivated, or did it happen by chance, or by opportunity, or by mistake?
I think, go ahead, Diane, if you want.
Okay, for Motionable, definitely it's very focused on motion videos. However, when we see opportunities in the market, and right now we see more and more tech design, so we are developing a tech design capability. Alexis is more on wants to be a kind of full stack agency, one-stop agency, but obviously for the moment we're just barely 2 years old. So we can't do everything properly. So we are focusing first on what we can do best, with a methodology which is performance first through A/B testing applied to performance marketing, social media management, and web dev, CRO. But for instance, web dev, it came thanks or because of the pandemic. Due to the fact that a lot of businesses were going online. So I would say that we caught a trend, and we decided that we wanted to become expert in that domain, and we gave ourselves the means to achieve that. But no, there are some things that we do not do, of course, for the moment. We're still too small, and Motionable doesn't have isn't supposed to become a one-stop agency. It's going to be very focused on motion videos and tech design, definitely.
Jeremie?
Yeah, so I think what you are talking trying to do everything. That's a strategy that some people take. Obviously, like, you cannot offer good quality, I think, because when you start to do everything, it's more about just trying to execute, I think. And so for me, it was a bit different. I was very passionate about design. It became my big passion. And so I really enjoy what I was doing. And of course, I wanted to do the best job I could for my clients. So obviously, it positioned me directly in that route, in that direction. So I didn't really have a choice in that. Is that I was forced to offer quality. It went into that direction, and so it forced it forced that direction, but it also forced me to take specific type of clients. I could not say yes to everybody. And I had a lot of people at the beginning of my career, they want some front-end development, some back-end. So at the time, I was more webmaster, trying to do everything. I was pretty bad, not pretty bad at coding, but I was not the best for sure. And so at some point I had to decide, okay, I need to stop that. And so I decided to cut it. And the day I did, it changed completely. I could charge a lot more. People saw me as a reference after in Thailand, especially back then there was almost no one doing UX UI design yet, more than 10 years ago. So suddenly I became a reference. And so it was very easy for me to explain what I was doing. And so it was easy for them to remember what I was doing. And so every time they had to think about someone who can do design in Bangkok, they would think about me. So it was very easy. Then I had no clients coming all the time. So I never really have to have advertised my business, do some marketing campaigns or stuff like that. People would just come all the time. So it's a very easy business when you focus in one direction and you only do this and you do it very well. Then people keep coming and it's the best business you can do. You don't need to work very hard on this, I think. Well, you need to work hard on delivering quality, but that's it.
I see. But Panya, would you, I'll jump back to Opal, which in a sense has a slightly different strategy in my sense. But Panya, have you, what I find interesting about Pimclick is that you have really emphasized this creative studio image of your firm. So would you say that it is mostly for marketing purposes, or is it really a strategic angle for your firm that you have and that you're trying to keep developing? This stress on creativity, on innovation.
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, our background is IT and IT consulting, so we do software development for now more than 20 years. But UX design, as Jeremie said, and also web design in general is very predominant and very important right now, because you cannot have a very strong software or strong system, but with a crap user interface right now. So that's why for me it's one of the components that goes with software development or web development. You cannot right now, I'm talking right now because 10 years ago was not the same, but right now you cannot differentiate both. You need to have something strong on the back end, and you also need to have something strong on the front end if you want to be a leader on the market or just get clients right now. And there is another component I found very important. It's marketing as well. So if you can merge right now creative design or just good design, efficient design, strong software development, strong back end, plus strong marketing integration. Here you can cover the full stack of digital environment.
Okay, so Opal, you tell me if your strategy is different or similar to that extent. If we browse your website, you do a lot of things. I feel there's still somehow an emphasis on development of website application, probably other things. But you also have services that cover UX UI, digital marketing, etc. So what is your strategy as a firm CEO? Are you trying to level up in all these different segments at the same speed, or do you prefer to focus on a few key services?
Okay, for me, what I notice in especially in Thailand, I think not a lot of companies realize that adopting technologies is an investment. And it is an investment that needs a lot of study. So most of the time, what we call it product owner would just go with features that they think is going to be good. So they have high trust in their assumption, I would say that. And they would like to go ahead without actually study if this investment is worth it. So I think in this part, this is what we do best. So we would help them strategize. We would help them identify that this is what you should invest on. This is what maybe you should not, or you should start with this features. Help them prioritize their investment, because each feature is time and money, right? Sometimes they listen to us, sometimes they don't. Yeah, but we try. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have a very good point, Opal. Definitely, I think that the value that we can add to really differentiate is to have this strategical thinking, and be able to place yourself as an expert in that field. And sometimes you have to tell your clients things that they don't want to hear. Some of them may think that they need to start with something first and not with something else. And it's your role to advise them, because at the end of the day, if you provide something and they're not happy with the results, it would have been your fault if you don't tell them, I told you so. We should start with this first or with that first. For Motionable, the way we are going, because it seems for Motionable that it's only motion videos, so it's quite easy. But I can see that for the moment, the market is still a little bit is still in the kind of learning curve. A lot of people have heard about motion videos but do not know how it works or what it is. In France, for instance, people all the time think that motion videos, it's when you have this hand drawing something on the screen at the same time as you speak. But no, this is not motion video. This is a very, very small, old-fashioned portion of motion video. So you have to educate your prospect or your clients about what you can do, what you advise them to do, and for instance, for motion videos, what kind of, according to their objectives, to the platforms, tell them what they should do first and how they should do it. But it depends on the level of maturity of your clients.
This is actually an interesting topic that I did not prepare specifically for these questions, but I remember that Jeremie, you told me many times, for instance, that you went into not fights but arguments with some of your clients because they want something, you think it's a bad idea, or you would argue otherwise. So what is, and that's a question I would ask to Panya as well, but how do you manage to strike a balance between the request of the people who feed you basically and what you think is the right way to do without antagonizing your clients?
Yeah. Well, I feel like they hired me for a reason. And so, they don't trust I could do the job. They would not come to me in the first place. So if they came, they need to accept I'm going to have some opinions about the way they run the stuff, or their ideas, or the features they want to have. Very often something I see, that's what Opal said, it's an investment. They need to prioritize which features they want to have in their platform. And so very often they are making a lot of wrong assumptions. They can be very biased. So that's why I want to start offering design thinking a bit more as well, because this is a way to be very creative, where you start to open completely the mindset, consider any type of solutions, so that later you can start to filter down and see which one could actually work. And so this forces them to get rid of their bias. And we do that very often. We do a lot of like design thinking workshops where like, we ask them, what's your goals? What do you want to achieve? And already like, in that first exercise, we see like, all the stakeholders, can be the CEO, can be other partners inside. They all have like, goals that doesn't even match together very often. And already like, they're going to fail because they're not aligned on what they want to achieve. But after they make like some very bad assumptions, they say, oh no, but users want this. Or they say the problem is this. Are you sure that's the problem? And like, if they start with the wrong problem, then they're not going to find the right solution. And that's very important. That's my role. That's our role to make them understand they're making some assumptions. There could be some good assumptions, but maybe not. And they need to validate a bit these assumptions. That's for the prime statement. Is that the right assumption around this? I'm getting a mosquito flying around me. Users, they think, oh, users want this. And yeah, sometimes it's true, but sometimes it's the way you define, you say, oh, users want this, and you put some words into their mouth, and you think, oh, that's really what they want, and you get stuck on this. But actually, when we start to ask some questions around this, you realize, no, actually, that's not what the users meant, or that's not actually what they really want. There's something deeper behind it. And if you can pinpoint that, then you can find some proper solutions for them later. But first, they need to open their mind. But of course, it's what Opal said, you do the best you can. That's our job, to advise them, try to say okay, maybe you're making too many assumptions, maybe the wrong assumptions. We recommend you to do this or that. Now is a choice to decide to do it or not. But at least I've done my job. I advise them against it. Now, if they really want to move forward with that, they're still the client. We need to accept their decisions at the end of the day.
What about you, Panya? Do you have a strong stance on what is how far you should go into pleasing your clients, or?
Well, so yeah, as Jeremie said, it's at the beginning of first when people they come to meet you, to see you, and when they hire you for a job, right? They must know who you are, and they must also give you some trust. So there is first, kind of filter. If they don't want to work with you because they don't like your design, or they don't like the way you approach the problem, this kind of problem with design, because design is very subjective. So when it comes to feature, or it comes to security, there is no problem. It's very clear. You want this, we do that, right? But when it comes to design, it's another story, because it's very subjective. I want to be a little bit. I want to have it more happy. I don't feel the happiness in your design. Okay, what is happiness for you, right? So fear. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So this kind of feedback, usually how you handle that, first you try to filter at the beginning when you need to know with who you are working with, and if you feel, because it's also with the experience, if you feel that you're not gonna work together, you cannot work together because this guy, for example, he's making too much assumption and he thinks he's right all the time, right? Then you just don't work with those people. That's it. Because you know that you're gonna waste too much time explaining, and we also want to do good job, right? Because we also want to showcase our job. This is very important. We don't want to make some design and put it behind and don't showcase on the website. So every project is we have to be proud of as well. So it's kind of collaboration with the client and us. So this is very important to keep in mind. And when we don't have this kind of alchemy at the beginning, we just don't go. This is this is my point of view. And of course, there is also kind of balance to find. Of course, we can discuss, we have to negotiate, we have to argue. And sometimes we also we also do some mistake, right? So we have to also think all the time and try to see ourselves, see like, oh, maybe it's we are going wrong, right? So we also have to, it's kind of balance between the client and the supplier.
All right. My next question was more about the competitive environment. I mean, I might be a bit biased, but I have the impression that in the past few years, the environment of digital consultancy in general has become more and more crowded with a lot of, I mean, I guess it can include a lot of things, a lot of different things at different levels. You have the agencies on the one hand, you have freelancers. Sometimes the limit between the two can be a bit blurry. You have also a number of free tools that are coming to the markets. Diane was making me remark that nowadays you can find more and more platforms that give you like free templates, for instance, where you when you want to save the cost of a consultant. So that represents as well some kind of competition as well. So I mean, is it an impression that you share that the space have become even more crowded in terms of competition? And if yes, how can you stay relevant as a company? Like, what makes you still relevant for your clients versus all these others competitors? Is anyone feeling brave enough to take this first question? To take this question first?
I don't feel it's a problem at all. Because actually, we actually like don't compete against people like offering like templates or like that kind of stuff, because that's a very different type of business. I think. I mean, they sell very cheap and they've got to sell it in quantity, but it does just one thing. And so unless you like know someone behind that can like customize it later for you, which would be like someone like us as well, they still need us like to be able to do like some customer stuff. And so most of our clients, they come, it's like big companies in Thailand or like worldwide. They come with like some very specific problems that they need to solve. And I don't think we can use templates. We can sometimes if the budget is very limited and we want to have them, we can try to take some frameworks, some templates, and we can combine some stuff together, give our consultancy, recommend some structure and change a bit these templates to accommodate them. So that can be a quick way to give them a solution that they can start to go by. But honestly, I don't think they're no competitors. The only stuff that we see is that people see a template for WordPress website at $50, for example, and if you build a custom, it's going to cost thousands of US dollars, and so customers don't really understand why do I need to pay so much, because they're used to paying $50 for a premium template, and they don't understand why it costs so much and it takes so long to build a WordPress website, for example. And we tell them, well, if you want to use a template, go for it and just pay $50 and you just set it up yourself and everything, and you will see if you get the same results at the end of the day. It's a very different thing, but it works for some people. Some small businesses, it's perfect for them, and of course they should go for that. Why would they spend thousands of US dollar for a custom solution when a small website is enough to have a brochure website? Of course, it makes no sense for them. But again, it's not our audience anyway, so we're not targeting them. So I don't think it's a competition.
Yeah, I completely agree with Jeremie. I think that, of course, and especially with COVID, we saw a lot of micro businesses who needed to have a digital presence, and obviously we're not the right solution for them. They will want something completely templated to be set up very quickly, because at the end of the day they need to sell and to sell fast. So yeah, it's fine. I think that you're right, and somehow the environment is more and more crowded, but there is a lot of diversification too. So more templates, definitely. We saw as well that this templates company were advertising a lot since COVID started. But there are also growing opportunities, for instance, and I think particularly for motionable and motion videos. A lot of new features have been launched by Facebook and Instagram that actually provided us a new playground to experiment tech design. That's why we ventured into AR filters, into real-world tracker that are actually a kind of extension of motion videos, but applied to Instagram AR filters, and that are perfect for reels, for AR filters, for guides, and whatever new features that will come out of these giant platforms like Facebook and others.
Opal, any thoughts on your competition, and how can you beat them up?
Okay. So yeah, what we offer, just like Jeremie and Diane said, what we offer to clients are totally different. We sometimes we even work on the requirements together with our clients. We confirm the requirements. So basically the main service that we offer. I think Jeremie and Panya and I are the same. Correct me if I'm wrong. What we offer are basically custom-made software, right? So it's tailor-made to the requirements. So it's not something that's ready-made. So we make this software to fit your business and your culture. So it's different. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the key actually, because we were talking about these templates. It's really, it's one template fits all. And if you want something to differentiate your business, then you should go for a different company too.
Panya, how do you see the competitive environment in Bangkok, but maybe also regionally, because you have I know you have clients in France, for instance, in Europe, in the US, I think as well. How do you stay relevant for these people with so many competitors, not just at the local but global level as well?
Yeah, so I totally agree. For me, using a template was okay 20 years ago, 15 years ago. I was also doing that. When I was, starting my company. But right now there's too much competition on that. And if you want to stay as an agency with many people, and pay all the salaries you have to pay every month, you need to increase the level. You need to have a kind of vertical skills. If you just take template and resell, there is too much competition. You cannot survive. You cannot even survive 1 year with this kind of. So that's why we don't do any kind of this kind of work, because first, it's not relevant. It's not sustainable. It's not our client, as Kun Opal said. We are trying to do complex project. Year, 2 years, 3 years. We always have 1 or 2 years project, and this is the only way you can. For me, I would say you can stay on the market, and also be able to sometimes choose your client. It's very important, to work with good people and people that you feel you want to work with. So, and this is try to be good, try to have a vertical skills. And you'll stay on the market, I think, because I saw many changes, from the beginning. For example, if you take JavaScript, I started with Mood Tools, and then Scriptaculous, and then now Node.js, and there is a lot of it's changing every 5 years. You have new technology, so if you don't stay aware, and if you don't keep learning and try to get some vertical skills, for example, Jeremie, UX design. It's you cannot stay on the market. Yeah. So this is my opinion.
All right. Thanks a lot for this. Because we are running a bit behind schedule. I don't want to keep this exchange session too long. I'm going to switch off the panel session and move everyone to the Q&A session. Otherwise, we'll be interrupted. Okay, I'm just doing it right now. I hope it's going to be fine because we experienced technical issues before. I see you in 1 or 2 seconds.
Maybe we're going to lose Panya again.